Everyone. Thank you for joining. We will be starting the webinar shortly. If you can hear, if you have any audio issues, or if you cannot see the screen, please send me a message on the comment section so that I can reply to you on how to sort it. Thank you for your patience, and we will be starting shortly. Dan, I think we can start. There are attendees waiting.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dan Chidambaram. I'm a director at Citrus Consulting Services. I'm based here in Dubai. I hope everybody is staying safe. Thank you very much for taking time to join us on this webinar today. Today in the panel, I have my colleagues Sharon as well as Rahul. So they will help me in getting through this webinar in terms of technical and also sales content. The way we have structured the webinar today, we have a series of sections. Essentially, we'll go over why we need solutions such as Workspaces, Amazon Workspaces, this day and age, and in the midst of the COVID-19 situation, why it is important, how it makes a difference in enabling remote work and especially making it productive, and what are the offerings from AWS to address these business challenges in enabling remote work. And then we'll go through one case study, what we had done recently. We'll go through the nitty-gritties of the business problem statement, how we approach, and what are the different steps and stages we went through in implementing that solution, and how it benefited the customer, in tackling the COVID-19 situation in terms of enabling work from home in a rapid fashion. And lastly, we'll go over some of the promotions that we are running, the campaigns that we are running, and we'll leave the details, how to reach out to us to talk about these campaigns and promotions on those section as well. Just a quick housekeeping. We've kept everybody on mute, so to avoid any background noises. Of course, you might get some background noise from my side. Apologies for that in advance. But in case if you have any questions or any further clarifications on content of the slides that I'm presenting, or if you have any specific business problem that is very unique in your workplace, please feel free to put them under the Q&A section. When we get to the tail end of the webinar, we will go through all of those questions, or my colleagues will also try and answer them during the webinar. Yeah. So without further ado, let me go over what is it all about, and why we're talking about Amazon Workspaces, or more importantly, enabling remote workers and making them productive. Why are we talking about this? Simple reason, and we all know, because we're all living through this day in, day out. Because of the COVID-19, there is a major shift in terms of global business operations. Most of their workforce, in many cases, all of their workforce, are sitting at home, sitting remote, and operating from home. So this has created a unique problem for the enterprises. So much so that they put a lot of their ongoing projects or the initiatives that they were planning for this financial year, put them on hold, and they've diverted all the funds to enable this work from home, improve the productivity of the remote workforce. So there is a huge amount of conversations or requirements that are going around cloud-based collaboration, platforms, things to do with emails and, document sharing, video conferencing, audio conferencing, and things like these, webinars and whatnot. That's definitely driving quite a lot of conversations. There's a huge demand in that space. And then naturally associated, since we're making all the workforce sitting at home, suddenly your data center network has, rapidly expanded to your employees' homes. That increased the vulnerability, the security posture, the data center. That created a lot of, requirements around the digital security space. And more importantly, last but not least, the workspace itself, the VDI, virtual desktop interface itself, has become, one of the critical requirements in almost all of the enterprises. People were initially running around trying to buy laptops in hundreds and thousands, but then stocks have dried out. People are now put on wait list. By the time you get the device, you re-image them to follow your company standards. It takes a lot of time, right? So then people are moving into virtual desktop-based solutions. So that has, created a huge amount of demand for VDI. We're all in this situation, because work from home is not something new. We've been dealing with it for quite some time, but it was never a primary, sort of mode of operations for businesses, right? So whatever they had as a sticky plaster solution was not really scalable, not something that we're enabling 10 users earlier, maybe through VPN. Suddenly they cannot expand it to 500 or 1,000 users. It's just not practically possible. So now they had to relook at the whole investments. So what our customers are telling us is we need to quickly enable this work from home through employees' personal devices. Almost everybody carries some form of a personal device today. It could be a laptop, a desktop, iPad, some form of a personal device. So how do we quickly enable mobile work through personal devices? How do we, especially the contract workers, contingency workers, how do we quickly provision devices for them? And more importantly, how do we increase the data security, and how do we provide secure access to all of these business applications? And we want to do it at scale, and we want it to be flexible. We want flexibility, we want agility. So, today we have 10 contract workers joining, so we need to be able to immediately provision and hand it over. So from day one, the productivity kicks in. So this is what our customers are asking for. But if you take a step back and what is not working, and then when you look at legacy IT, especially when it comes to end user computing, all along we've all had personal devices, right? So things like the moment an employee joins, he or she gets a laptop assigned or a desktop assigned, and that asset is tied to that individual for the next 3 years or 5 years, depending on the company's policy. And then every 3 years, we're talking about rotation of these equipments. You get new equipment, get rid of the old one, it's gone out of warranty, or extend the warranty for another 2 years. You stretch the life to 5 years, and then you go through this hard drive failures, display failures, keyboard failures. It created a lot of challenges, right? Maintaining the assets, maintaining the inventory for your new employees who are joining. So people went to, okay, what is the next best? Let's try and look at on-premise VDI solution. But it didn't really solve the problem. It kind of, shifted the problem from managing individual assets, move it into a data center. You're still managing servers and storage and, network equipment that are associated with VDI solution, right? Though it addressed a lot of problems, but it created its own sort of unique set of challenges. For example, certainly in current situation, right? You've got say 50 VDI capacity for 50 VDIs on the server, but then you need to expand VDI to say 500 users. You can't possibly go out and procure server storage, network bandwidth for all 500 users, throw it out there in the data center. You could, but it costs a lot of upfront investment and the lead time to get everything provisioned. So it became a non-viable solution in the current situation. And more importantly, the data storage became a problem as well. See, you have personal devices, as in company allocated devices, the data sitting on the laptop. You have a single hard drive failure, the entire data is gone. There goes the productivity of the employee for the last, 2 years, 3 years worth of knowledge and information that this individual has been gathering over a period of time. Could be sensitive, financial spreadsheet is like gone to food, right? So how do we ensure the data is being backed up? The collaborative platforms, what we have today in the market, to a certain degree they're matured. It had helped us address a lot of the problems, but still, it only addressed the problems that are related to things like your documents, presentations, spreadsheets, the office, what we call office related files, right? What about design diagrams? What about your, graphics designer creating a multimedia content, right? So transcoded videos, edited video content. So what about those things? So backing up all of this, ensuring the data is not lost, the productivity is not lost, it became, a huge problem, especially in the current situation. So, and this is not really working, right, in the current situation. So hence we're introducing AWS Workspace. So Amazon had analyzed this particular problem, and they came up with this solution. And it's not something, it's a new offering in the market, the solution to address the COVID-19 situation. But it's something which was launched some time back, but then over a period of time it had matured. Today, if you look at it, it almost solves all of your problems, the problems that I was talking about earlier, things to do with your assets, things to do with upfront investments, things to do with security, things to do with data loss or data theft, information leakage. It kind of addresses, not kind of, it does address all of these challenges, and it does all of these at scale and gives you the flexibility. Essentially, puts you in the driver's seat as a customer to decide what you want, when you want, how you want it. Right? It is the answer from Amazon to the customers to solve the end user computing problem, which is kind of a long-term problem which we've been battling with, right? So if you look at PC devices, and we talked about earlier, say it starts with a PC refresh, you then bring in new technologies such as, hey, I got 200 Windows 7. Windows 7 is going out of support. Now I need to move everybody to Windows 10, right? And this is, if I go back to my previous experience, this is an easy year or a year and a half at best, long project. It takes a year or two for an enterprise to get rid of an older and outdated, say, a Windows operating system and move every user to new operating system, right? We're talking about inline upgrades. We're talking about backing up data. We're talking about, unsupported devices where you have to put drivers, yada, yada, yada. Inventory management. How do we keep an inventory of all of these devices? Who has which asset is associated to which employee? And every time an employee brings the asset, gets a replacement, or brings a broken device, gets a replacement. And this asset management has to be done properly. Otherwise, you will end up in having an orphaned asset or a missing asset. This kind of, opens up a Pandora's box, right? So, and there are other problems such as, how do you, managing the build and maintaining the images, supporting it. How do you safely dispose of the assets once you retire them and go out of support? And this is like a never-ending sort of a treadmill, right? Once you hop onto this, as long as you're in the business and operations, this is something that you got to deal with it, right? So it doesn't have to be that way, right? This day and age where things are evolving quite rapidly and you get new technologies coming up every 3 months, 6 months. So we need to be able to, hop on, hop off this sort of, technology or innovation motion, as and when they hit the market, right? It's not something that you see an innovative technology today, and then you do your evaluation 6 months later, you say, yeah, maybe we'll adopt it within our company. By the time you adopt and you roll it out, that technology is already outdated, right? So, this, tagging along with innovation, the innovation changes that are happening out in the field, will only help you to do your business or drive your business, much efficiently, right? So, we talked about it. How do we end this PC lifecycle treadmill? You need something which gives you the flexibility to scale up and down. You've got 5 users, you can scale from 5 to 500 users, 500 to 5,000 users. Just a matter of minutes, right? Move everything from a capex to our opex model. We'll talk about the different pricing strategies, what we have. So, there is no upfront capital investment. It's not like, you anticipate that this year we're going to have, say, 500 employees, and out of which 300 devices are going out of warranty. So we need to earmark some funds to do a refreshment, and also buy new equipment for new employees who are joining or new contractors who are coming in. So the whole capex budgeting kind of, goes away, move everything into an opex model. Pay per use, and something which sort of goes well with your digital transformation within your organization. This is one of the most common theme within the digital transformation is bring your own device. So it doesn't matter whether you're using an Android-based handheld device or a Windows-based PC or Mac-based laptop. It doesn't matter. End of the day, users or employees should have a similar or seamless experience across all devices. And more importantly, you do it without compromising your enterprise security, without compromising on your corporate policies. So this allows your employees or your remote workers to work much more efficiently. The productivity goes up, which again results in business growth, your top line, your bottom line, happy employees and happy, thriving business, right? So Billing options, like I said earlier, you have flexible options. You have hourly model, or you can go on a monthly model. So hourly model, things users such as or enterprises such as educational institutions. You have students who come in, use a device for their learning, for say 20 hours in a month. Why do you want to pay for the entire month, right? So you can switch to a hourly model, or you have a graphics designer who uses a high intensive GPU workspace or virtual desktop to do a video transcoding. Once he's done, he shuts it down. Entire month. So in a real world scenario, current scenario, if you look at it, and you've got a highly expensive 20,000 dirhams, 25,000 dirhams, IMAX, where you're doing a graphics, design, your video editing, game development and whatnot. That's something you use, say, 10 hours, 20 hours in a week, but then just sitting there, costing a lot of money for you. Instead, you go with the hourly model, where you spin up a highly sort of graphics intensive, GPU intensive workloads, use it for 10 hours, you're done, shut it down, you pay only for 10 hours, right? Something that you use it on a regular basis. You're a graphics designer, this is what you do day in, day out. Then you go into a monthly model. So you have this flexibility, right? So there are different use cases where you can leverage workspaces, ranging from large enterprises to oil and gas companies, to airlines, to educational institutions, to supply chain companies or logistics companies. So it applies across the board wherever you have workers who need to either access business applications or who require a standardized, controlled workspace. AWS Workspace is the answer for that problem. So we talked about it in terms of managing your remote environment seamlessly. You have the option of, say, for example, hey, I've gotten an active enterprise agreement with Microsoft. I already own Windows licenses. No problem. You can bring your own licenses, so you don't have to pay for the licenses separately. You only pay for the compute storage and the memory. It is extremely easy to use. It supports all kinds of applications, anything that you can install it on your desktops or PCs, on a Mac or a Windows. It is supported on the workspace, right? And your device which you use to access the workspace, it can be of any of the platforms that are widely used today. It could be Windows, it could be Mac, even iPads and Android tablets. Even Chromebooks are supported. So it is supported across all the major platforms. It works quite well with your existing tools, be it your authentication. You have, say, an Active Directory with multi-factor authentication enabled. So when a user sitting at home using the personal device, trying to connect into the workspace, they would use a corp ID that would then do the authentication and authorization and trigger say an SMS or a security token. Then it validates. All of those can be integrated. In case if you have any DLP solutions, your Microsoft SCCM solutions, all works quite well with workspaces. And you also have, enhanced security features, things like, for example, I want this machine to be completely locked down, meaning user is using a personal device, I don't want any kind of data going into it. I don't want any kind of data going out of it, right? So that means it's completely locked down. So that means they can use the machine, they can access the business applications, but they cannot move any data out of the workspace. So what it allows you to do is, you go to many places where you have these compliances. For example, European Union has a GDPR. You go to, if you're dealing with any sensitive, financial, especially credit cards, you have this PCI DSS compliance. If you're dealing with, healthcare records, you have this US standards called HIPAA standards. So all of these things apply, and the workspace is compliant in almost all of these compliances. So PCI DSS is compliant, it is HIPAA compliant, it's FISMA compliant, which is the public sector, and it is SOC 1, 2 compliant as well, and ISO 9001 compliant as well. So if you have any business application that requires you to stay compliant to any of these compliance requirements, then putting them on Workspace and allowing your workers to access it through Workspace by default, or inherits, or you can inherit the compliance from AWS, right? So it comes with a lot of bells and whistles. So you can choose how you want to configure it, how you want to implement it within your environment, and we can help you to achieve that. So I'll take one scenario, a case study where recently we had helped one of our customers to get through this COVID-19 situation, especially the work from home, because when the announcement came out, when we were asked to stay at home, work from home, it just came rapidly, right? Because it's the nature of the pandemic. You can't plan a week, 10 days, in advance. So there was a lockdown. The customer wanted to quickly implement, right, a VDI solution, because implementing an on-premise VDI solution is completely rolled out. So they needed something quick, and they wanted to make sure that over 350 users are provided with some form of a virtual desktop in a matter of a week, 10 days. 10 days is worst case scenario, but maximum try and get it done in a week, right? So the customer is into supply chain business. They have over 1,800 employees spread across multiple continents. They've also got a back office teams sitting remotely. So they do all the order processing and invoicing and whatnot. And these employees were sitting in the office doing all the work. So they were given desktops, a fixed asset, fixed desktop, at their desk. Suddenly, now they have to sit at home and do all of the work without losing productivity. You have the sales team who are always constantly on the field. Now suddenly they're sitting at home. Whatever that they were accessing it through mobile phones or their own personal devices now should be made available, right? Or whatever they were accessing it sitting at the office now need to be made available for them to operate at home. And there were offices in remote places, like places in some parts of Africa, some parts of Europe, where they wanted to have these users also to connect in. So earlier, all of these branches were connected through MPLS mesh network. Suddenly, people no longer have access to the office network. They're all sitting at home. Now we need to enable um, uh, the business application access to these remote workers. So this is a very unique problem statement. We were given an existing setup. The customer was already on AWS. They've had few workloads running on AWS, a few workloads running on-premise in the data center, a big time SAP customer. That's the core ERP for them. They've got a CRM application running on cloud. They had a marketplace running on cloud. They had an army of developers sitting remotely doing all the software development. So, there are the varieties of users. How do we handle all of these and without losing the productivity? That's number one. And number two, without losing data, ensuring the security, and we want to do it fast and agile, right? So it's a very unique, case, and the time was not in our favor. We had to do it really, really quick. So to walk you through the scenario and how this was done, let me invite my colleague Sharon to join me. So Sharon, are you there?
Yes, Dan.
Excellent. So now this particular customer was a very unique story, right? It was a complex environment. You were dealing with multiple different users, varieties of applications that uses thick clients, applications that uses browser-based, interfaces. So how did you and your team tackle this particular problem?
All right. When we receive this problem, we try to understand how many users they're looking at, how many users we need to provision workspace. Once we had the numbers, we didn't directly went and allocated workspaces. Rather, we analyzed what are the users. We segmented users depend on their work, depend on what field there belongs to. So we had backend users who are using SAP. We had field sales users who are using sales CRM and sales enablement softwares. And there are developers and graphic designers who are designing and also doing a lot of development related work. We had a lot of regular employees who are just using a CRM and SAP, and there were users who are using administrative system for time and attendance and stuff. We segmented these users into multiple buckets now and understood what are the softwares they are using. There are users using thick clients for SAP access. There are browser-based accesses. There are thin client-based accesses. We segmented into multiple buckets and understood what they actually need in their workspace. Once we took these details, then we analyzed how much performance they need. Now, there are graphical users who are designers. They need a graphical performance on their workspaces. There are usual users or regular employees who are using just CRM over a web browser. They would need or they needed only a normal workspaces with let's say 2 vCPU and a 4 GB RAM. We segregated all of this into multiple buckets and then built a pilot stage for all of these different segments. We picked one user and built a pilot golden image for a workspace and gave it to the one user and did the user acceptance testing. Now, this user acceptance testing gave us an opportunity to understand what are the problems they are facing while using these workspaces. Performance related problems, access related problems, latency related problems. We took the feedback, went ahead, fixed workspaces, and then rolled out for multiple users on different segments. And then once we had the initial set of users, we rolled out for all the users across the board, which falls into multiple segments, which are sales, regular users, backend office users, and temporary developers, and also the graphical users. Now, this entire process, since it was an emergency due to COVID, took around on a 1 week span. We were able to collect all these details and roll out the production for all the users.
Wow, really? I was going to say that, it looks like a complex project. It would have taken, what, 2 months, 3 months to do everything end to end. So
That's the
everything
beauty
was
of
done in a matter of 5 days.
yes, that's the beauty of Workspace. It's pretty easy to configure, easy to integrate, easy to deploy.
Terrific, terrific. And it's not something, I think the value add what you and your team brought in is in all the initial consulting work that you guys have done, instead of just going and blindly spinning up 16 GB machine or 8 GB machine. So you did a smart thing of doing a segmentation first based on applications, based on the users, then doing a proper UAT to validate whether or not the specifications that are being allocated to that particular user or type of users helps them to do their job perfectly without running into any performance related issues. That's pretty smart. Excellent. So, how did it go? I mean, overall, what was the experience from a business standpoint, from IT standpoint, and then more importantly, the end user experience? How did it all go?
So we had users sitting across multiple countries. The latency wise, there was no issue since we connect to the workspace over the public internet. And from the AWS network, we had a direct connect with our SAP on-prem data centers. So the connectivity between AWS to on-prem was pretty dedicated connection using AWS Direct Connect. And to connect to the workspace, it was over internet, and we didn't have any performance issues in terms of latency or any compute performance.
Excellent, excellent. So, can you also walk us through the design and how did it how did it all sort of pan out in terms of technical design?
Definitely. We had a multi linked accounts. That means multiple accounts linked under a control tower. This gave us visibility in terms of what's happening in each account and what's logging, what security audits for auditor purpose. And we had a couple of services which are shared services running in one account. This is related to Active Directory, which is linked in the backend with customer Active Directory. And we had the systems. We had sales CRMs, sales enablement softwares, e-commerce softwares hosted on AWS, and SAP, the main workload hosted on-prem. Now, AWS and on-prem is connected over AWS Direct Connect, and there's a VPN peering between our e-commerce system, sales CRM system, and the shared services on the other account. Now, this all acts as an extended network to each other. All of the services, all of the softwares can communicate with each other with a restricted manner. Now, users are connected on workspaces. They connect to the softwares directly on the same account, on the same region we have deployed, and they were able to seamlessly access all of those applications from their workspaces. So connection between workspaces and the software is, again, it's a private connection. Your traffic is not going over internet. And the connection between the workspaces and SAP workload is also a private communication. You're not sending any of the traffic over internet.
Terrific, terrific. And I think you guys did a good job. Um, Especially the fact that you managed to accomplish all of this in a extremely short period of time. It's quite impressive. Excellent. So, thank you, Sharon. In terms of this is something I had a chat with the customer to understand why Workspace over a VDI based solution. Right? We discussed about this quite a lot in the past previous slides, but just to summarize the key points, things to do with scalability, and they needed 300, 350 VDIs or workspaces in a span of 5 days, right? In an on-premise scenario, if we were to go procure new hardware, provision the virtual desktop infrastructure, it wouldn't have been possible, in a matter of 5 days. Now, scalability is not just about, sort of scale out. It's all about scale in, meaning that assume, we go back to our normal life once this thing settles down. Then these, maybe not all 350 of them are required for them. So they might have to, scale down. So in that case, a non-premise scenario, what do we do with that additional hardware, right? The management of the application, the maintenance, the security costs. I don't have to talk about it anymore. That's my case. And the time to provision, right? If Shannon and team was able to get it done in a matter of say 5 days, the proof of the pudding is right there. So net, what customer said to me was, all of these factors, these are the reasons why we chose to go with Workspace as opposed to VDI solution on premise. So, so with that, we get to the tail end of the webinar. I've got 2 more slides. These are specifically around the promotions and offers that we're running currently from Citrus side to you as customers. To walk through the promotions, let me invite my colleague Rahul to help me with this section. Rahul, are you there?
Yes, Dan, I'm here. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect.
Excellent. So, what do we have for customers? If I'm a customer, I'm keen. This is all fantastic, and I want to immediately look at it, and I want to do a POC, a prototype. I want to test it out and see how it works in my environment, and I want to quickly roll this out. So, how do I move forward?
Perfect.
If I were a customer.
Right. So as advanced consulting partners with AWS in the Middle East and Africa region, our key objective has always remained to ensure that we are strategically aligned as technology partners with our customers and not working with them as on a transaction basis. So keeping the same in mind and keeping the current scenario into perspective, we offer to all our potential customers and our existing customers that we would support them through the deployment of the AWS Workspaces for 3 months of free managed services. Amazon themselves have been running a campaign since April 1st up till June 30th, wherein they're offering to new customers up to 50 free users on Amazon Workspaces. So we want to ensure that all of our customers are able to sail through this unprecedented time with minimal business disruption and ensure continuity and productivity. Thus, we want to, enable them with 3 months of managed services because there would be a learning curve associated with, ensuring that the management of the newly deployed workspaces takes time. So we will help all of them with this offer to begin with.
Excellent. So what more we have in the bag for customers?
So besides the AWS workspaces, there's a lot of criticality surrounding the need for budgets to enable such disruptions in the IT space. With regards to the same, we are also offering to customers a cost optimization on their existing infrastructure. Needless to say, it will be focused on the AWS platform, but considering that we have associated business verticals across multiple domains like on-premise and legacy technologies as well, we can come in, evaluate the entire infrastructure, and help customers, free up funds so that they are able to leverage these new disruptions in the unprecedented times. Besides this, we would also, offer to our customers a free migration consultation where we come in, we analyze the current infrastructure, and help them develop a strategic roadmap and a cloud adoption strategy, wherein they can leverage the OPEX model, because a lot of businesses are hurting and bleeding at this point, owing to the COVID disruption, and so they can migrate their workloads onto a cloud-based infrastructure and pay for only what they use.
Excellent. I think it's very nice. Both AWS and Citrus coming together and helping the customers in these difficult times. And then the offer on the workspace is extremely, attractive. If you're a new customer wanting to, empower your workforce, what more do you need as, to start off? It has a very extremely low entry barrier, in the sense that, there is free workspaces and there is free support. Um, if it's something that this offer fits well with your sort of thought process in terms of how you want to take your IT and how you want to enable your workforce, make them work productive, please feel free to reach out, and we'll put the contacts of the team in the last slide. So, what other things apart from this, Rahul? What are the other areas we can help or assist customers?
Sure, Dan. So, needless to say, in the current scenario, the three offers that we are positioning for our customers to sail through seamlessly during this time, we can help our customers across multiple regions as an intrinsic consulting organization and as advanced consulting partners with multiple service delivery competencies on AWS. We offer to our customers an end-to-end modern IT transformation, help, which we have internally categorized in four basic buckets. We go from strategy to design to transformation to management. We help our customers in the strategy space, wherein we come in, do a cloud adoption study, help them modernize their infrastructure with a roadmap, help them with a TCO analysis, where a lot of customers come in and want to evaluate what would it cost if I were to, migrate to the cloud vis-a-vis what I'm currently incurring cost on-prem. And are my applications which my users are using, will they be, compatible with the cloud platforms as well? So we come in, we can help, strategize the entire roadmap and to undertake an end-to-end consulting exercise, which will be helpful in envisioning a roadmap for the future, 3 years, 5 years, 6 years down the line. Uh, our basic motto lies from strategy to execution. So if with lieu of the same, we don't just come in and present a nice, good-looking white paper, but we also help our customers implement an end-to-end solution wherein we help them design all of the suggestions or all of the consulting, prospects that we've proposed across multiple buckets. We help them, design the entire enterprise architecture. We help them with rapid prototyping of certain applications and instances and undertake POCs. We ensure that we are leveraging a highly available, scalable, and secure infrastructure when they are transitioning from the legacy infrastructure onto the cloud. Needless to say, security is a very key perspective when customers are taking the first footprints into the cloud space, which is why our defense in depth design strategy is always there to help them with regards to the same. A lot of customers also want to take smaller steps with regards to their migration to the cloud space and want to transform from silo based workflows. So we help customers with data center transformation, enterprise modernization, ITSM management, and undertake an end-to-end digital transformation wherein we leverage our multiple verticals in-house, right from data analytics to IoT to legacy technologies that we have. Post this, once we've helped customers across the board to establish or start the digital transformation journey, we understand that there is lead time to where customers can manage the entire infrastructure on their own. So we want to help them manage it and offload their entire workload from them so that they can focus on what is more important, which is their business. So we have our knock and talk centers across multiple global delivery centers in Middle East and in India, where we provide to our customers 24/7 infrastructure management support, break fix support. Within the same, we ensure that we take care of the security. We can also help our customers on the application side with specific applications like SAP, as it is one of the most dominant forces within this geography. As a part of our managed services, we also help our customers with quarterly cost optimization tests which ensure that they are, billing on what is it that they require and are not over provisioning resources. We ensure that they are, optimizing the usage with terms of capacity as well. Uh, as a part of the security offering, we also take care of the risk and compliance based on, what kind of business the organization and our customers are in. So net end to end, we propose to our customers right from strategy to management of these solutions. We have teams which have experience on multiple vendors like Splunk, VMware, Oracle across the board. And that's how we ensure that there is an absolute seamless offloading of the IT management work.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Rahul. So, in case if any of those kind of resonates with your business requirements, please feel free to reach out to any one of these gentlemen uh, across both UAE as well as Saudi. We have Islam based in Riyadh, who's our head of sales for Saudi. Please feel free to reach out to him. As far as UAE and the rest of GCC, you can reach out to Harpreet or Rahul or Ashish, any one of these individuals. So with that, I conclude, and then we will open up for Q&A. Sunana, I know we're running short of time, but we still have 5 more minutes. Are there any questions in the Q&A? Are there any questions from the audience?
Yes, Dan. Actually, there is one question from Harun. He has asked us, can we have a hybrid solution? Since most of his employees who need to be on site will be continuing using current on-premise system, and for those who are needing to work at home, they would be needing to use AWS Workspace. So is this possible to have a hybrid solution?
Of course. So if you recollect the case study we talked about, Harun, when we do the segmentation, we treat user segmentation. We would treat every user as separate user types. So for a particular user, if we say that no, they have to be workspace and a workspace of this kind, then we will design the architecture in such a way that it serves that particular user. If you have users partially sitting in the office and partially sitting at home, if you already have an existing VDI, of course you could have them partially using your existing, and anyone where you don't have capacity or you require to enable remote workers to connect in, we can use a workspace, and it works quite seamlessly.
Okay. So we have another last question that I can take for now. That is, what are the bandwidth requirements for workspaces? Not all customers have direct connect with AWS to access on-prem data centers. At the same time, not all the end users have better internet connection speeds.
That's a very valid question. So it all depends on the type of workloads that we're connecting. For example, in this case, the customer was using SAP, and the users were connecting to SAP through a thick client, right? So a thick client can still work quite comfortably over a site-to-site VPN. I'm talking about assuming the workloads are running on-premise and your workspace is sitting on the AWS cloud, and your site-to-site VPN, even if you don't have a direct connect, no problem. A site-to-site VPN with a decent internet uplink will work perfectly fine, right? And in terms of the users, it's the bandwidth utilized by the workspace is almost on par with the other competitive products. And you talk about even a remote desktop for that matter. It's on par with those solutions. So you don't require a high bandwidth internet at home to connect into your your SAP application or via Workspace. Bear in mind the traffic between the SAP and the Workspace is limited only within those. So the data, SAP data is not reaching your end user's device. All the end user device sees is the workspace. It's essentially kind of a video, loading in a frame by frame, image by image, in a much faster way. So users don't really see it. So technically, the data does not leave the workspace. It remains as it is. A reasonable bandwidth, home broadband is good enough. We have tested it with many users. It worked. Fine. A little bit of a pixelation in some places where there are high packet drops, but otherwise we've not seen any major challenges with respect to connectivity.
Sure. Thank you, Dan. Actually, we are running out of time, so we will just be putting a stop to the questions here. If there are any questions, they can reach out to us directly, any of the audiences. We will be sharing the webinar with you, to all of you who have attended, and so that you can go through it. So that's about it from my side, Dan.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for taking time to join us today. We hope you all stay safe. We'll get through this together. Thank you very much again. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Thank you.
Have a good day.